Today we bring you part 2 of a very special program. Earlier we introduced you to people who have lived what many consider to be their worst nightmare. A health situation where they were literally trapped in their own bodies. Find out how courageously families acted when faced with what seemed to be a totally hopeless situation. Stay with us. In part 1, we met Army soldier Eric Edmundson and his family. On October 2nd, 2005, Eric was severely wounded by an IED while serving in Iraq. Among other injuries, Eric suffered an anoxic brain injury, leaving him unable to move or speak. After experiencing little help from the VA hospital, Eric's family decided to seek treatment at the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago. Thanks to acute therapy and positive encouragement from the medical staff, Eric began making remarkable progress. Ed, at one point in the therapy, you said to your son, "Stand tall and look me in the eye." And he did. Do you think that was a turning point for him?
Yep. It was a turning point for all of us. As I hadn't stood next to Eric since quite a while. But, you know, from there it just inspired me with great hope for him. And then really inspired him.
Stephanie, how is Eric with his mobility?
Eric can walk with his mom or dad or sisters or brother-in-law's assistance. Eric's 6'1", I'm 5'1", so it doesn't work so well. But Eric can move himself around in his wheelchair, and he can transfer into bed, out of bed, into a vehicle. Eric was at the Institute in Chicago for less than 2 years, made great strides. What was that like when he walked out to meet you and Gracie outside that building? Breathtaking.
Will you always remember that day as long as you live, Eric? Yeah. Proud day for you?
That morning, it was all you could do to contain him, and then it was a thrill to see how excited he got about going back home, about getting back together with his wife and daughter and moving on with his life.
Thanks to the help of Homes for Our Troops, the Edmundson home was completely remodeled, making it easier for Eric to function independently. Today, Eric continues to make progress with his mobility and is working to regain his speech. He and his wife Stephanie were blessed with an additional child, a son named Hunter, just over a year ago, and Eric has found new ways to pursue his passion for hunting and fishing.
Eric was on a 93-day hunt. We went through 27 states, 6 mountain ranges, drove 14,000 miles in 93 days. Eric harvested 10 trophy animals. It was a culmination, kind of a dream hunt for him. Eric's been hunting, he's an avid outdoorsman, been hunting and fishing since he was a small boy. Had this list of animals that he had hoped to harvest. And the Wounded Warrior Project, Bass Pro, Under Armour, some other corporations got wind of that. And they put together this hunt for Eric to go on so he could harvest that list of animals.
Now, you'll be going to South Africa soon, later this year.
And he'll be going there in September for a 10-day safari, both hunting and photo safari, and he's going to harvest 4 animals. Blue wildebeest, zebra, warthog, and an impala.
Ed, what do you see in the future for your son?
I see anything's possible for Eric in the future. We're continually searching for things for Eric to do. I can't even tell you what the future holds for Eric. It's wherever he wants to go with it, wherever he and Stephanie want to go with it. And hopefully, as a family down the road, Eric continues to move forward and get better, and continues to help Stephanie with him and with the family, and so, you know, Beth and I can move forward with our lives. So hopefully someday these two can move on and maintain as a family.
When we return, we'll revisit Collin Raye and learn how he's working to make a difference in memory of his beloved granddaughter.
Look around you. We're surrounded by people who courageously face difficult obstacles life has thrown in their paths. Tune in each week to meet people who show there are positive, godly solutions to tough, critical situations. This Emmy Award-winning show tackles challenging life issues such as abortion, stem cell research, and adoption, and shows every human life is valuable and precious. Join us for inspiring stories of people facing life head-on.
Collin Raye has been a recording country music artist for the past 20 years, but his life changed when his family discovered his granddaughter, Haley, suffered from an undiagnosable brain disorder. Doctors offered no hope as Haley's speech and development began to deteriorate, but Collin never gave up his search for the best medical care. Sadly, Haley eventually slipped into a coma and passed away. Affected by his experience, Collin became the spokesperson for the Terri Schiavo Life and Hope Network. He hopes to raise awareness about brain injuries and the importance of not giving up hope.
Your first instinct is just like with our friends the Schindlers, you know, in Terri Schiavo's death. Your first instinct is how can we turn this horrible thing that has happened to us into a positive for other people. You want to try to carry on for her legacy, to help other families that have kids like that maybe don't have the resources that I had because not every child's different.
Collin, tell me about your song, She's With Me.
Well, I wrote She's With Me. It's a tribute to Haley, and it was written a couple of years before we lost her. It was obviously just a really personal tribute to her that I thought would be a piece of comfort for my family. But again, God has His way of taking that and turning it into something else, and it has become since a bit of an anthem for families who have sons or daughters that are very sick like that or who have lost them.
In May of 2002, Brenden Flynn of Seneca Falls, New York, had just graduated from high school when he and a friend were involved in a fatal car accident. The friend didn't survive, and Brenden was left in a coma for 3 months. The prognosis was poor, but his parents refused to give up, and Brenden survived. When he finally woke up, he had no speech and limited motor skills, but Brendan's family was determined to keep seeking help. Rehabilitation was key to his progress. Speech-language pathologist Meredith Rayo began to work with Brenden on communication, cognition, and swallowing. She was thrilled with the motivation she witnessed.
He was an individual that when I first met him, he had only nonverbal means to communicate with other people, so he gestured or nodded his head. As he started to evolve and recover, he attempted to use words, and he just couldn't get his voice started. We call that apraxia, and his brain didn't want to tell his vocal muscles how to get started. And I remember both of us being really motivated to get that voice started because I had heard he liked to talk.
She was there from the beginning, so I remember her over everyone, and I remember just how positive she was and how helpful that was. Everybody, and getting better isn't an individual effort. It takes a team effort.
When you first met Brenden, did his recovery seem hopeless?
Oh, not at all. No.
Why not?
Because he was doing so many purposeful things. He was interacting with people. Maybe it was non-verbally, but you saw that spark there. Was so internally motivated. And at the time, I don't know that Brenden was insightful exactly how much his life had changed, but he kind of let go of that and just kept moving forward and trying things. And then later in his recovery, he became insightful to the changes. And I think it gave him more motivation to get back into life and participate in life.
Tell me about the first time that you heard Brenden speak.
Oh, that was just remarkable. I could see in all the other disciplines, in physical therapy and occupational therapy, he was making really large, rapid gains. And with communication, we just couldn't get that voice going, and we would try so hard, and I would go home at night and try to think of more ways to get this man to speak because it was so important. And in the morning, I walked into his room and went towards his bed where his book was, and he said, "Good morning, Meredith." And I remember just reeling backwards and going out into the hall shouting, "He's talking!"
Just out of the blue it started.
Out of the blue. Mm-hmm.
You must have been very happy.
Thrilled, and he hasn't stopped talking since then, so yeah, I'm even more thrilled for that.
And I did better, and I kept getting better against all, I mean, everyone. The doctor said I wouldn't get better, but they never told me that personally. When they told my parents that, I know this after the fact. But they have no idea what people are capable of when they're pushed to their limits.
Coming up, we'll see what life is like today for Brenden and his wife, Nicole.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world, and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
Nicole Flynn, like her husband Brenden, was also involved in an accident that resulted in a brain injury. The two met while volunteering and have seen their lives change for the better. They still experience ramifications from their injuries. Both have difficulties with speech and their short-term memory, and Nicole still has problems walking, but they continue to make progress. Life recently got even better when they welcomed a new addition to the family.
My daughter's name is Faith Marie. She is an absolute miracle.
So what is life like having a baby in the house?
Everyone complains and says that, oh, it's so exhausting, it's so hard. And it's like, yeah, it is tiring, but it's, for me as a mom, it's a different kind of tired. Like, you're tired when you wake up, but then you feed her, and it gives you, then you get energy from that. And then in the morning, she's the most alert and she's the most smiley. So I sing to her and I talk to her and I rock her, and she is amazing. That's our special time together.
Mary Jo is a nurse and a grandmother. Did you have any apprehensions about the two of them having a baby?
I was very worried. I didn't know how they would do it, and it only had to do with their short-term memory loss, you know, and their increased requirement of sleep. And then I worried about, oh Lord, are they gonna, you know, if she's a sleepy baby, will they wake her up to feed her? Will they remember the last time they fed her? But it wasn't until after they had her, and they came home. I stayed for 4 days, and it was phenomenal. Brenden had a nursing app on his phone, so they knew how many wet diapers, they knew when the last feeding was, how long she fed. It was unbelievable. Together, they are doing phenomenal as parents.
Now, here it was for both of you. Doctors said you were brain dead vegetables, no hope. Anybody with common sense would know enough that you weren't going to survive or amount to anything. Not only did you survive, you recovered, you got married, you went to college, and you had this beautiful baby. Now my question is, who's the dummy here?
Well, I don't think anybody's a dummy. I think doctors are just ignorant. I don't think they know any better. Honestly, I think they were taught that way. We need to change the way we teach them. And
With Brenden, I don't know, maybe the doctor studied elsewhere out of the country. And he explained to me, he said, after Brenden survived, beyond all hope, he said it changed his thoughts and thinking, and he will never, you know, put another family in that kind of situation again.
Mitch, do you ever lay awake at night thinking of what might have been when you think about little Faith and your daughter-in-law and everybody?
Well, yeah, I reflect a lot on the accident, seeing it firsthand, and all the time leading up to these events. I mean, every step of the way was a miracle for us. This is just the top, the miracle. This is the third miracle, Brenden, Nikki, and then Faith.
I mean, after the hospital even, when I was alone, I never could have dreamed I would have a beautiful daughter, a beautiful wife, beautiful family. I have a beautiful life. I love being alive.
Both Brenden and Nicole dream of becoming motivational speakers and sharing their powerful stories with others. One person who may be able to help them is Bobby Schindler, the brother of Terri Schiavo. Bobby and Brenden have become good friends. They both want to dispel the stigma that comes with brain injury patients and continue to be a voice for Terri.
Well, Brenden's story is an example of why we're doing what we're doing, trying to advocate for other families. His witness is so powerful and inspirational to us, and that's why we've stayed friends ever since we met, and want to tell people just what it means not to lose hope in a person, and the fact that they can recover if you just show them the love and care and dedication. You never know how a person is going to recover.
Do you see Brenden and Nicole and others like them being voices for Terri?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how can you ignore his story and what they've been through and what the family been through? The family advocating for him, refusing to listen to doctors, doctors telling the family there's no hope, end his life. I mean, they're an example of everything that we're doing now and why we do what we do.
One thing to take away. Never give up hope. Never give up hope. As long as a person is breathing, there's still a chance for a miracle to happen.
I concur. In fact, we have it on our website. It's what my sister said: "Where there's life, there's hope," and we firmly believe in that. And we're going to do everything we can to fight against what's happening and these decisions that are being made to end people's lives. And we'll continue to fight for people like Terri and for people like Brenden and Nicole and all the other people out there that experience these types of brain injuries.
Something tells me this is a friendship that'll last forever.
There's very few opportunities in life where you meet a true friend. And Bobby is a true friend, and he stayed in contact with me. He didn't have to. I don't know if maybe sometimes he didn't want to. But
the biggest mistake I made was giving you my cell number.
Yeah.
In a moment, we'll hear from the Edmundson family about their son's selfless sacrifice.
Look around you. Everyday heroes abound in our country. We're surrounded by people who courageously face difficult obstacles life has thrown in their paths. Tune in each week to meet people who show there are positive, godly solutions to tough, critical situations. We'll tackle challenging life issues such as abortion, stem cell research, adoption, and abstinence, and show that every human life is valuable and precious. Join us for inspiring stories of people facing life head-on.
Eric Edmundson is only one of many American soldiers who are coming home with life-altering injuries. Instead of giving up on them, it's our duty to provide care and advocate for their quality of life. When Eric was injured in Iraq, he was carrying an American flag in his backpack. Like Eric, the flag suffered damage but survived. And it's now hanging in the Edmundson home as a reminder of Eric's willing sacrifice for our freedom. What would you all like America to know about the men and women serving our country?
These young men and women are over there risking life and limb to support us and defend our freedoms. And we as taxpayers and citizens of this country need to understand that, and that comes at cost. And so when these young men and women come home so severely injured, that we owe it to them to see to it that they are taken care of.
This might be a difficult question to answer. It's not an easy one to ask. Do you think the sacrifice that you're making is worth it? Do you think America's worth everything you've given up, everything you've put on the line, everything you've sacrificed? You do. You're the first one to say yes. How about the rest of you?
Yes, definitely. I didn't want to answer that question until he did.
The foundation of America and our right to bear arms, our right to have our own faith, those things we take them for granted sometimes, I think, as Americans. And I don't think we get a little cavalier about it. And I think that we need, when something like this happens, you do have to be examined. Wow, was it worth it? But I think, where would we be without people making sure on that front